Hello friends, welcome you all. Today we are going to see about historical background of the Indian Constitution. Let us see some historical backgrounds. During 1600, the British came to India as a trader in the form of East Indian Company. This East Indian Company had the exclusive rights of trading in India under a charter granted by Queen Elizabeth. So in 1765, this company obtained the Diwani rights. Previously, it's a purely trading functions. After getting the Diwani rights, what do you mean by Diwani rights? The rights over revenue and civil justice of Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. It started its career as a territorial power. And also, one has to note here that there were certain events in the British rule that laid down the legal frameworks for the organization and functioning of the government and administration in British India under the major two headings called as Company Rule 1773 1858 and the Crown Rule 1858 to 1947. Today we are going to see the Company Rule 1773 to 1858. Let us see the Regulating Act of 1773. This Regulating Act of 1773 has very key important points. Let us see one by one. The first step taken by the British government to control and regulate the affairs of the East Indian Company in India, and also it recognized for the first time the political and administrative functions of the company, and also in the first time it laid down the foundation of central administration in India. This is important point related to the prelims. First time it made the foundation of central administration in India. And also let us see key features of this Regulating Act of 1773. Before this act, it is called as Governor of Bengal. After this Regulating Act of 1773, it designated the Governor of Bengal as the Governor General of Bengal. This is important point related to your prelims. Kindly note, Regulating Act of 1773 made Governor of Bengal as the Governor General of Bengal. And also, this act created an executive council of 4 members to assist him. And first such Governor General of Bengal was Lord Warren Hastings. This is important point related to the prelims. And also, it made Governor General of Bombay and Madras presidencies subordinate to the Governor General of Bengal. Previously, that is earlier, this all three presidencies, that is Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras, were independent of one another. After this act, it made two provinces, that is Bombay and Madras presidencies, as subordinate to the Governor General of Bengal. This is also important point, and this is very important point. It provides us for the establishment of Supreme Court at Calcutta in the year 1774, comprising one Chief Justice and three other judges. And also, this act prohibited the servants of the company from engaging any private trade or accepting presents or bribes from the natives. Natives, in the sense, the people of British India in those days. And it strengthened the control of the British government over the company. How? Let us see. By requiring this court of directors, that is governing body of the company, to reports on its revenue and civil and military efforts in India. Before that, this Regulating Act of 1773, the East Indian Company and their court of directors does not provide the reports of revenue, civil and military affairs. Because of such a maladministration and shortages of revenue, this regulating act made and also it strengthened the control of British government over the company. And also one has to note that this regulating act of 1773 has few defects. To rectify these defects, the act of 1781 was enacted to rectify the defects. That is, this is famously known as Act of Settlement. Let us see the key features of this act. It exempted the Governor General and Council from the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court for the acts done by them in their official capacity. And also, it exempted the servants of the company from the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court for their official action. What does it mean? They are immune from the Supreme Court. And also, it excluded the revenue matters and the matters arising in the collection of revenues from the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, which means it's excluded all the revenue matters and collection of revenues from the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Here, this act provided the Supreme Court was to have the jurisdiction over all the inhabitants of the Calcutta, which means this Supreme Court to administer the personal laws of the defendants. What do you mean by personal laws? That is, the Hindus were to be tried according to the Hindu laws, and Muslims were to be tried according to the Mohammedan laws. Mohammedan laws is nothing but the Muslim laws. And also, this act laid down the appeals from the provincial courts could be taken to the Governor General in Council. Kindly note this point. This is very important. The appeals from the provincial court could be taken to the Governor General in Council, not to the Supreme Court. And also, it empowers the Governor General in Council to frame regulations for the provincial courts and councils, and by which and another act Pitt's India Act of 1784, which is famously called as Pitt's India Act. Why? Then the young Prime Minister William Pitts, during this act, the young Prime Minister William Pitts was ruling. Therefore, the name it is called as Pitt's India Act of 1784. Let us see the key features. This act is very important related to Pilgrim's perspective. So, this act distinguished between the commercial and political functions of the company. How it is distinguished? Let us see. It allowed the court of directors to manage the commercial affairs alone, and this act created the new body called as Board of Control to manage the political affairs. Previously, it was called as Court of Directors, that is Board of Directors. In this act, it established the system of double government. What do you mean by double government? The double government is nothing but Court of Directors and Board of Control, that is called as double government. Here you will get a question from Phillips. Which of the following act established the system of double government? So, Pitt's India Act of 1784 established the system of double government. And here hint, try to remember. Court, C, the letter C first word. In commercial, letter C is the first word. That is court commercial. Kindly remember C, C to eliminate the wrong options. And also, we move on with the proceedings. So, this Act empower the board of control to supervise and direct all operations of the civil, military, government, or revenues of British possession in India. Kindly note the British possession of India. This word first time used in this act only. That is why this is a very important act for two reasons. Why? First, the company's territories in India were for the first time called as British possession in India, and also the British government was given the supreme control. Previously, board of directors, that is East Indian Company, as the supreme control. After this act, the British government was given the supreme control over the company affairs and its administrations in India. After this fits in the Act of 1784, the Act of 1786 was enacted. Why it was enacted? Let us see. Lord Cornwallis was appointed as the Governor General of Bengal. To accept this, he placed two demands. What are the demands? Let us see. You should be given power to override the decision of its council in special cases. And also, he would be the commander in chief. These are the two demands put forward by the Lord Cornwallis. Accordingly, the Act of 1786 was enacted to make both the provisions. After which, the Charter Act of 1793 was enacted. Let us see key features of this act. It extended the overriding powers given to the Lord Cornwallis during the Act of 1786. It was extended to all future governor generals and also governor of presidencies. Presidencies in the sense Madras presidencies, Bombay presidencies. Also, it gave governor general more powers and control over the government of the subordinate presidencies of Bombay and Madras. Here, this point is important. It extended the trade monopoly of the company in India for another period of 20 years. And this is very important point. It provided that in previously it is accepted in the Act of 1786 he would be the commander in chief. But in this Charter Act of 1793, the commander in chief was not to be the member of Governor General's Council unless he was so appointed. This is important point. And also, it laid down that the members of the board of control and their staffs, this is important point, very very important. Why it is important? The board of control and the staffs were to be paid out of the Indian revenues. So this act is important because of such features. Let us see the Charter Act of 1813. This act is very important. I will tell you after the discussion of this act. This act has key features. Let us see. It abolishes the trade monopoly of company in India. Kindly note down, this is very important. It abolished the trade monopoly of the company in India, which means the Indian trade was thrown to all British merchants, not only to the company, that is East Indian Company. It opened to all British merchants. However, this continued the monopoly of the company over the trade in tea in India and trade with China. This is important point. I will tell you. It asserted the sovereignty of the British Crown over the company's territory in India. And also, it allows the Christian missionaries to come to India to purpose of enlightening the people. And also it provided for the spread of Western education among the inhabitants of the British territory in India. Also, this act authorized the local government in India to impose taxes on person. Also, it stated that it could punish the persons for not paying the taxes. Let us see why this Charter Act of 1813 is important. During, if you take the previous year prelims question paper, you can able to find out the question in the prelims 2019. This question was asked related to the Chapter Act of 1813. The first point given as it abolished the trade monopoly of the company in India. That is, trade was thrown open to all the British merchants. Yes, this point is correct. And also, this point also given. It asserted the sovereignty of the British Crown over the company's territory in India. This point is given. Also, the third statement, it given as the revenues related to Pitt's in the Act. The third statement. Why? Since let us see that the third statement also. The revenues of the British possession in India was mentioned in Pitt's in the Act of 1784, not in the Charter Act of 1813. So, the statement 1 and 2 is right. Statement 3 is wrong. If you go through the question paper, that is prelims 2019, you will find a question. So let us move on with the Charter Act of 1833. This act was the final step towards centralization in British India. The first step was Regulating Act of 1773. Here this Charter Act of 1833 was the final step. Let us see key features of this act. It made Governor General of Bengal as the Governor General of India. This is important. Governor General of Bengal as the Governor General of India. And also, this Governor General of India, first time, vested him all the powers, that is, civil and military powers. That is, the government of India having authority over the entire territorial area possessed by the British in India. According to this act, and also the Lord William Bentinck was the first Governor General of India. You should know the difference between Governor General of Bengal and Governor General of India. The Governor General of Bengal was Lord Warren Hastings. He was the first Governor General of Bengal. Here, the Governor General of India as was Lord William Bentinck. These are the differences one should note while reading the charters. And also, it deprived the governor of Bombay and Madras of their legislative powers. Before it has, but after this act, they are deprived, which means the Governor General of India was given exclusive legislative powers for the entire British India, which includes the presidencies of Bombay and Madras. Here, one has to note that the previous acts, some laws were made, so that acts called as regulations. Here, the laws made under this act called as the act. This is very important point. It ended the activity of East Indian Company as the commercial body, which becomes purely an administrative body. Why it is purely become administrative body? It is provided that the company territories in India were held by its interest of for his majesty, his heirs and successors. This is last point. This is very important point related to Charter Act of 1833. It attempted to introduce the system of open competition for the selection of civil servants, which means stated that Indians should not be debarred from holding any places, offices and employment under the company. However, it fails. Why it fails? This provision was negated after opposition from the Court of Directors. Here it attempted but fails. Let us see in the Charter Act of 1853. This was the last series of the Charter Acts passed by the British Parliament between 1793 and 1853. Previously, after 1793, the trade monopoly was extended for 20 years, and 1813 is extended for 20 years. After 1833, it was extended. But here, it does not extended. Let us see the significant constitutional landmarks and key features of this act. The first time it separated the legislative and executive functions of the Governor General Council. Kindly note, this point is very important related to prelims. First time it separated legislative and executive functions of the Governor General Council, and also it provided for additional 6 new members called as legislative councillors to the council, which means it established the separate Governor General Legislative Council, which is famously called as Indian Legislative Council. This legislative wing of the council functions of the mini parliament. This is very important related to prelims. Mini parliament that is presented in the Charter Act of 1853. And why it is mentioned act as mini parliament? Since it adapts the same procedures as the British Parliament. Thus, the legislation for the first time was treated as a special function of the government, which requiring special machineries and special process. Here, this is very important point, kindly mark down. It introduces the open competitive system of selections and recruitment of civil servants. What does it mean? In coordinated the civil services was just open to Indians also. This is the first step that is introduced and also opens to the Indians also. According which Macaulay Committee, the Committee on the Indian Civil Services was appointed in 1854, and also it extended the company rules and allowed it to retain the possession of Indian territories under trust for the British Crown. I have discussed already, it does not specify any particular period like previous chapters. So, what does it mean? It was the clear indication that the company rule could be terminated at any time that the parliament thinks that is important. And also, it introduced for the first time local representations in the Indian Legislative Council. What does it mean? It means 6 new legislative members of the Governor General Council, among which 4 members were appointed by the local provinces government by called as Madras, Bombay, Bengal, and Agra. So these are the important key features related to the Charter Act of 1853. I have given you in 2 colors. Kindly note that the bright color is very important to the pilgrim's perspective. The another light color that is also important, but this bright color has more important related to pilgrim's perspective. Kindly go through it fully and try to reverse it. So in the next class we will discuss about Crown's rule. So thanks for being with the discussion. Thank you once again. Have a good day.